Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today our topic is movement for reforms. We started the movement for reforms, and the very first topic is Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi, which we are going to overview with the concise material ahead. So let's get started. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi, Al Maruf Mujadad Ali Sani. He was born in 1564 on 26 June in Sarhindi city. So he was named as Sarhindi and died in 1624. He was the in the 16th in the 16th century, during the reign of Akbar, Islam faced overwhelming threats. The infallibility decree in 1579 and Deen-e-Ilahi in 1581 were considered to be grave threats to the religion. The Deen-e-Ilahi, as propounded by Akbar, was a mixture of various religions. The new religion combined mysticism, philosophy, and nature worship. It recognized no gods or prophet, and the emperor was a chief exponent. So this was all the period of 16th century. But we are going to discuss the early life of, before starting the 16th century period, we are going to discuss the early life of Shaykh Ahmed Sarhindi. Shaykh Ahmed Sarhindi, Hazrat Mujadad Alif Sani, was an Indian Islamic scholar from Punjab, a Hanafi jurist, and a prominent member of the Naqshbandi Sufi order. He is described as Mujaddid Alif Thani, meaning the reviver of the second millennium, for his work in rejuvenating Islam and opposing the heterodoxies prevalent in the time of Mughal Emperor Akbar. He is said to have considerable and long-lasting influence in India and to have given to Indian Islam the rigid and conservative stamp it bears today. So he got his early education at home, learned Holy Quran by heart, and at early age he learned Hadith, Tafism, and went to renowned scholar at various places. At Akna he learned Hadith and everything. Akbar's right hand was named Abul Fadl, and Fadi heard of his brilliance, tried to draw him into his citadel. But their friendship was not long because of Akbar Deen-e-Ilahi emergence, because Sheikh took serious offense to Abul Fadl anti-Islamic attitudes. It was said that a portion of Fadi concentrated Sawalish Islam was written by Sheikh. So the objective of Shaykh Ahmed Sarhindi's movement of reform was to improve political system during Mughal Empire, reform in Sufism, and protection of Muslims. So religious condition. What was the religious condition during Mujaddid times? And this is in 16th century. So the condition was that Sanan Abu Dawud said, Allah shall raise for this Ummah at the head of every century a man who shall renew or revive for its religion. And that man on the 16th century was the Sheikh Ahmed the Mujaddid Alif Sani. When great Mujaddid came to his task to reform, he found that the Tasawwuf had taken complete possession of the Muslim soul, as there was excessive belief in karamat or miracle of saints was common. Many un-Islamic means of the development of occult means is the khafiya powers, that is powers of Allah, had been introduced into the Tasawwuf itself. The mystics had gone to the extent of denying of commandments of Sharia or the law of Islam. Did people denying the commandments of Islam and Sharia to that extent, the mystics to tell that they believe mystics more than the commandments of Sharia and the law of Islam. There was more indulgence in Muslim music hearing had become the order of the day. Now today there are also many more indulgences in music hearing also in today's world, by the way. And the next one is that they were indifferent to this sunnah, or the example of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Mujadad Alif Sani introduced the genuine sources of Islam. The ulama or theologian had seized at the time of Akbar on the 16th century had ceased, had ended his to refer to the Holy Quran and Hadith. They forget the ulama or the theologians, forget the genuine sources of Islam and aspire taken exclusively to fiqh jurisprudence as the whole of religious learning. They are busy in hair splitting discussion of paltry problem of fiqh, misinterest differences which cause quarrel among them. Consequently, only juristic view of Islam was alive and the spirit of Islam was on the blink of dying. And the most prominent example of it is that Makhtumul Mulk. Makhtumul Mulk is the thing that most of ulama resorted to legal devices of transfer of assets to avoid payment of zakat. Now, which in today's world also happened that many people take their money from the bank so that they avoid to pay it for the zakat. This is also given a verdict by the ulmas that Hajj was no more one of the pillar of Islam that it had actually become harmful. So these were all included in the Makhtumul Mulk, which ulama and theologians taken as the genuine source of Islam. The actually the thing is the ulama easily persuaded to give verdicts at that time, verdicts that is fatwa at that time of legality in cases of illegal things or matters, and they feel nothing after giving the verdicts and persuading easily people, so they influence Muslim a lot in the Mughal time. So, what was the influence of Hindus at that time? The Hindus' influence increased, and this because of the Mughal Emperor Akbar, who married a Hindu woman, and because of that, to appease Hindus, Akbar also gave key posts to the Hindus, and some of the Muslim rules of principality situated away from the capital with the help of Hindu Rajas. These are just started asserting themselves even in the affairs of country because Akbar Mughal Emperor gave that key post to the Hindus rather than the Muslims. So Akbar Emperor quelled revolt of some of the Muslim rules of principality. So after that, after quelling the revolt of some of the Muslim rules of principalities, Akbar started the Deen Ilahi. Akbar planned to establish a new religion, which is a mixture of various religion headed by him, so that harmony may be restored among the subjects and Muslim and Mughal Empire may be guarded. This was to appease Hindu and various religious people to appease them. At cost of Islam, he thought of fleecing the Hindu cronies. So he encouraged and employed worldly wise ulama and intellectual who repudiated revolution and denied validity of Sharia and holding it to be irrational belief and practice of ignorance. He blatantly negated Islam on these premises. During his reign, Islam was passing through the very crucial period. At this juncture, Islam needed a fearless believer to defend Islam to, against onslaught hamla of the Akbar Mughal Empire and the Hindus. So the person Mujadad Alif Sani was came at that period when Islam was at the blink of dying. So, what were the challenges he faced when he came as a reformer um, to uh, to save the Islam and Muslims? So, the challenges he faced was that the time carried for the appearance of the great reformer spiritual man Mujadid Alif Sani came. At the age of 40 in 1603 AD, he felt the call. He had inspiration that he was the reviver of second millennium of Islamic era. The task before him was stupendous, was wide, was large, was great. That Professor Dr. Hafiz Muhammad Sajjad said Dini life was a mixture of various religions, and many Sufis condemned his religious innovation, but the man who took it upon himself to revive Islam was Shaikh Ahmed Sarhindi. Many Sufis condemned Dini life of, but no one come forward. But the man who come forward to revive Islam was Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi. What was the challenge he had to face when he came forward to revive the Islam? The challenges he had to face are: number one, to contend against ulama of all shades and opinions; number two, to challenge the mighty emperor; number three, to re-establish the authority of Holy Quran and Sunnah; number three, the reduce fiqh to its proper place; number five, to contend against mystic pathogens; number six, bring about basic difference between prophet and saint; number seven is to work on various fronts for fulfillment of mission entrusted to him. So he not do a short time struggle to save the Muslim of only that 16th century period. He do the long time struggle to save all the Muslim coming forward and to basically to save Islam. So he worked unremittingly and upraised to stem the tide of misguidance and heresy and to turn it to flow in favor of restraint, and kept the torch burning this trying time. So the steps he take for as a long time struggle for the renaissance of Islam was that: number one, he preparation of disciples. He prepared his students, number of disciples for work, and sent them in all the direction India as well as contiguous Muslim countries to preach to true Islam, true Sharia, true law of Islam, the genuine, and introduce them the genuine sources of Islam, Holy Quran and Sharia of Islam. So number two is the correspondence. He Mujadad Alif Sani start was correspondence with men of eminence in various parts of the countries. These epistles, these persons who are widely circulated, they expounded religious truth and laid great emphasis on ittibai sunnat rather than mystics, and which was increased due to the wrong ulmas and theologians. Number three is the enlistment of great nobles. Mujadid Alif Sani enlists great nobles of imperial court as his disciple and used them to bring about a change in lives of those circle and to influence emperor toward the change of heart. So the people who are close to the emperor Akbar, the Mughals, to get into the imperial court, he enlist great nobles and teach them true meaning true and introduce them genuine sources of Quran and make them his disciples to bring a change in the great nobles and imperial court of peoples. So number four is campaign after Akbar. He started campaigning when Humayun succeeded and after Akbar died. The people had to take a vow that they will not obey any order contradictory to Islam. So Asif Jah convert to Jahangir, who was a visitor of Jahangir, questioned him against rising influence of Sheikh, not So after Humayun, Jahangir came, and there was a rise. Humayun is the man who participated in with Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi for the revival of Islam. But when the Jahangir succeeded the throne after the Humayun, the very close man of Jahangir, the name Asif Jah, the visitor of Jahangir, cautioned him against the rising influence of Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi not only in empire but also in adjoining territory. So he consulted emperor to restrain soldiers from visiting his disciple, to not allow any of his imperial court people to meet the Sheikh Ahmed Sarhindi. Under his well-orchestrated plan, the nobles who were lenient to Sheikh Ahmed Sardi were sent to far-flung areas, and Sheikh was called to face charge of propagating anti-Islamic theories. But Sheikh met every charge in detail, but Jahangir couldn't find any excuse to punish him. So Sheikh Ahmed refused to prostrate, and it was due only to Allah. So for this refusal, capital punishment was first awarded but later converted to 2 year imprisonment in Gwalior Fjord. household and establishment was also confiscated. So Professor Dr. Humayun Abbas said on this thing that Mughal and Emperor Jahangir imprisoned him just because he did not compromise on his ideology, but he remained firm and faced troubles courageously. So, besides he was in jail because of Jahangir, he continued his reformatory work. He continued his work within fort, within jail. As a result, many criminals as well as Hindu were converted to Islam. The dispersal governor revolted and offered their thrones to Shaikh, who wrote back by telling them three things: that his mission was entirely different, that this auction was an obstacle in its way, that they should submit to emperor. So Mujadad Alif Sani never wanted to topple the government, always tried to teach the rulers a message about message of virtue and goodness. So after 2 years of his jail, he was released from jail, and his order to release from jail was put before it Mujadad Alif Sani laid down following condition for acceptance, and their conditions are: number one, compulsory reverential presentation of before emperor would be established; number two, demolished mosque would be rebuilt; number three, cow slaughter would be allowed because it was made not allowed because of Hindu during the period of Akbar. Number four, a post of Qazi, Muftis, and Mustasif would be revived. Number fifth, Jizya would be reintroduced. Six, innovation, religious practice would be forbidden. And the next is the all person detained for carrying in this campaign would be free. So Imperial accepted all these conditions of Shaykh Ahmed Sarhindi, and he was released. And after which Shaykh Ahmed come over to visit Jahangir and comfort all owners to him, including a robe. And he lived 6 years of period after that, but after 6 year of period he died. Mujadad Alif Sani was died. So the important thing is that he wrote many letters, and the letters he wrote was named as Maktubati Imam Rabbani, the magnum opus, the magnus opus. So that was all about the Mujadid Alif Sani. That was all about the Mujadid Alif Sani. The letters of his was called as the Maktubat Imam Rabbani. But um, the additional thing you have to know about was the works he did. The most famous of his works are a collection of 536 letters, collectively called as Maktubadi Imam Rabbani, to the Mughal rulers and their contemporaries. It consists of 3 volumes. An elaborate printing of the book was accomplished in Nazirabad, Karachi. It was reproduced by offset process in Istanbul, Turkey. A copy of the Persian version exists in the Library of Columbia University. It was reproduced by offset process in 1963 in Istanbul. A number of books written by Ahmed Sarhindi was reprinted in Karachi. All those books, Ithbatun Nabuwa was reproduced by offset in Istanbul in the marginal notes on the book, which is in Arabic, and provided biography of Ahmed Sarhindi. Uh, he is a man who gave the philosophy of Wahdatul Shuhud. Mujaddid Alif Sani wrote Iqtibal al-Nabuwa. In this pamphlet, he quoted Imam Ghazali, justifying the need for prophethood and explaining the intricacy of human intellect. So he was also the man behind Wahdatul Wujud introduction. He joined the Naqshbandi Silsila under the discipline of Khwaja Baja Bili. He dedicated his sincerity of purpose to purify Islam and to rid of it accretion of Hindu pantheism as well as philosophy of Wahdatul Wujud. So he forbid Wahdatul Wujud and introduced the Wahdatul Shuhud. So that's all about the Mujadid Alif Sani. If you like the video, please subscribe my channel, like and comment. Thank you so much.